I've watched the board meeting on Troy Cable.
Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. That's Lower Alabama. I'm Mike Amos coming to you live from our studios on South Grundy Street, and he's Bill Rice Jr. Good morning, my friend.
Well, I like that sweater, Mike.
Yes, sir. Oh, Rocky Top, you'll always be something out to me. Good old Rocky Top.
Now, it's got some orange in it, but it's also got some peach or something.
Well, I had to hold my nose, though, man. Let me tell you this. I don't know if I told you this, that I was at the gala the other night, the Mardi Gras gala, and I met the girls, Mrs. Pruitt's brother, who's married to head football coach Pruitt, Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee. And I told him what we wanted to do, have a big party, that all he had to do is get Jeremy Pruitt down here, and we'll all come out to Banks and have a party.
What's he do?
Cook a hog. Mike could cook a hog out at Banks. There's a lot of folks that could.
What does Jeremy's brother do, and where does he live?
He lives in that area, and I'm sure I could get the folks at the stove there. Is it store or stove? At the stove there to have a barbecue. What do you think?
The Banks by right?
Just call it Jeremy Pruitt Day, and he's done some wonderful things.
He outkicked his coverage when he married his wife.
Yeah, sure did.
She's one of the cutest girls to ever come out of our area.
That's right. Of course, you know how they met, don't you? She was at Troy and got her degree at Troy, and then she transferred to get a master's degree at the University at Florida State.
Yep.
That's where they met.
Yep.
And been happily married ever since. And
they got I know they got one baby. They might have another one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have. It is official.
Yep.
It is on the front page of the Messenger. We don't have a Messenger right this
It's
second.
online. They're online.
But online, Steve, if you could get me that article, it would be wonderful. We have there is. There's not a new superintendent, but a new.
Well, they've got an interim superintendent.
All right.
I'll tell you what I know. My wife watched the Troy City School Board meeting on Troy Cable. Thank goodness for Troy Cable covering these events. And the board voted to part ways with Superintendent Dr. Lee Hicks. He had 17 months left on his contract, and they're just going to pay off the rest of the 17 months. But the bottom line is Dr. Hicks will no longer be superintendent, and the director of the federal programs is Cynthia Thomas, I think, is going to be interim superintendent while the board starts a search.
Full search for a replacement.
But Dr. Hicks, according to the Messenger, came to Troy in 2011, and then they renewed his contract after 5 years. And all I can say is, well, two things. The former principal at Charles Henderson High School hired my wife, who's an English teacher there, but her hiring had to be approved by Dr. Hicks and the board, so I appreciate Dr. Hicks from a personal standpoint.
I do, too. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah. And then the other point you make is that this is huge news because I think you'll agree with me, Mike, as Troy City Schools goes, the town of Troy might go. Having a great public school system is so important to your town.
No question about it.
So we'll see what happens.
And of course, we know pretty much what you know out there after reading the Messenger, but also your wife saw it online.
Live.
Was it any specific reason for
they didn't. She said it
was
happened.
A mutual agreement.
She said it happened in 9 minutes. They just brought up the proposal, the motion. It passed unanimously. One board member was not there, so I think it passed 4-0. No reasons were given. Obviously, I've been hearing rumors that something like this might happen for weeks. So a lot's been going on behind the scenes. you know, we can speculate, but they gave no specific reasons for why they did it.
Well, no, that is big news, no question about it. That he's going to be leaving, and
He came from Prattville, didn't he?
yeah, that's right. And he, you know, he had a lot of friends here and so forth. And you know, I hate to see this happen. At the same time, he had a good career.
Well, he'll be fine
since
too.
2011. And of course, there is a search going on now for a new superintendent. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what they say. You know, I've also heard other rumors that might even be bigger than this one, but they are just that. I'm nowhere close to being.
We're not going to get into that.
No. I'm a former reporter, and I know better than that. But I had heard rumblings that this was going to happen, and I've heard rumblings that something else might happen. Who knows?
Good morning, you on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, morning.
Bill, give him the
Oh, big news in Troy, Michael. Dr. Lee Hicks and the Troy City Schools have parted ways after the Troy City School Board meeting last night. So they have.
How did that take place? Was that like live on Troy Cable for everybody to watch?
Sure was. And my wife watched it. I was somewhere else. I was at Mama Goldberg's eating and
chili.
I ate Mama's Love.
I tell you, that chili is good.
They had the Trojan Talk.
Oh yeah, how'd it go?
Well, I saw my good friend Barry McKnight and Doug Amos were there and enjoyed.
Doug was there, yeah.
Yeah,
Did
enjoyed.
Doug say hello to you?
Took my kids and you know, they love to. After we eat there, they love to go and play on the statue, the Confederate statue, which I get a kick out of because I did. I think we all have done the exact same thing when we were there.
I'd buy me a Tootsie Roll and a Tootsie Pop, what do you call it, and sit on the monument and listen to the Christmas music.
But
what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean that Pike County will take over the Troy schools?
I've heard that rumor, but I don't know about that. That's.
I don't either. Now, let me tell you this: that would be a can of worms if you open up that, man. I tell you, I don't know why in the world they do that. You know, you would think Troy City school system was in good shape, wouldn't you?
Well, I've heard that they've had money issues, that they have deficits, and they're looking for money. You know, I see good in Troy City schools, but I see things that, you know, kind of concern me. Like, I know I've been to a couple of football games. My wife goes to more, and I'm kind of shocked when I see how small the attendance is. We've talked about some students with prominent families in Troy leaving the school system. So, you know, there are things going on. I mean, this couldn't happen without some rumblings and discontent among some people. It's uncomfortable and awkward, but obviously the school board and probably maybe people at City Hall felt that a change needed to be made. That's the bottom line, right? When something like this happens.
Evidently, you know, it's been some surely a lot of discussion. And on the board, I would have thought the board would have been strongly supportive of the superintendent. Now, I would like to know who the board member.
Well, Steve gets us that story.
How important was this, and there was a board member that was absent unless he was totally opposed to it.
That's right. You wonder about that. There was one, Bo Coppage, my friend Bo Coppage is on the board. Roxy Kitchen is on the board. Those are the only two I know.
Yeah, and of course they're well-known people in our community. And of course, you know, the public school system is very, very important to our community. I mean, you know, you lose public education, you lose a lot of.
So what, did they have an interim superintendent for the time being?
Yes,
sure
the lady that is a Troy native that is. I think her name is Cynthia Thomas. I know her if I saw her, I'm sure, but She's the director of federal programs. She's been a teacher or principal, been with the city school system for 24 years, if I remember the story correctly. She's serving as interim president.
And I want to correct what I just said.
Superintendent.
We're not losing public education, but what I'm saying, when something like this happens, it concerns you, and anybody out there that is a true Troy person and want our community to thrive in all areas of life, we need to support our public education.
I'm 100% with
they
you,
get
Mike.
Charles Henderson Hospital. It seems like they go through a lot of principals as well. So, they need stability. It seems like to me.
Yeah.
And there's always a lot of changes and a lot of different coaching staffs as well. So,
I tell you what, I'm sure there must have been some positive and some negatives about the job that Lee had done, but let me tell you, a lot of positive too. I mean, they were very competitive in athletics. They were,
football's been down for 6-7 years.
well, football, but look at the schedule they had to play.
Charles Henderson is a ladies basketball school and a baseball school.
And a baseball school, a ladies basketball and baseball school. Let me tell you this: nobody wanted to build a public school athletic program any more than our superintendent.
I'm sure he'll move to Birmingham and watch his son play at UAB. I'm sure that's probably gonna be fun for him.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be paid until January 2022.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, he didn't have anything to worry about then.
And that's a six-figure income too, to my knowledge, I think.
Well, he was making his contract was $124,000 a year.
Pretty good
and
living,
He'll
you're
get
right.
17 more months of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, as many of us who have been downsized or let go know, sometimes you get a no notice or 2 weeks and no severance pay. So
I'm gonna go on record of saying I hate it because I liked a lot of the things he was doing. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him a long time. I know his both sides of the family, and good man, and I really hate it.
He'll find another job. He's probably got Alabama retirement pretty close to it. He'll probably go to Georgia or somewhere.
Double dip. He might get double dip. Oh yeah. He's a strong leader. He's a strong person. There's no question about it. A hard nose, and you have to be that way in public schools now.
I didn't. I just moved back to Troy last year, so I don't know him. But I have heard good things about him. And
Bill was so far away at Pike Road. He was only like, what were you, 30 miles away?
boy, and I got in the
I
middle
want
of
you to
a
know
superintendent decision in Pike Road.
Yeah, that's right. I want you to know that Pike County beat Pike Road.
Good.
I ain't gonna put you on hold. Good morning, you're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hi, Mike. Will Matthews. What you up to?
Well, we're talking about local politics and local school. Our superintendent had been relieved of his duties. Now, it could have been a mutual...
I think that's the way they expressed
I think
it.
a parting of the ways.
Yeah,
excuse me.
mutual parting of the ways. Is
Mutual
the way
parting of the ways is the way we look at it. And he had done some real good things here in Troy, and was a guy that was working toward what they call the plaques, all those blue they call those state championship plaques. He was eager to reach a lot of those goals.
Is this the city or the county or both?
This is city school system, Troy City School System.
Okay, I got you. How long have you been in there?
9 years.
Well, most of them, Mike, it's been my experience, I've represented school boards for years, is that a superintendent, when he hits his retirement date, he's ready to hang it up right then. So I'm sure if he's got 9 years left, he's got more in the state system, so he probably retire with no problem.
At one, how much? What was his salary?
$124,000.
He was making $124,000, making a good living.
Well, he'll make that salary. You know that they're going to continue to honor his contract. So his contract went through January of 2022.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
guess
proud for him. I am proud for him.
And he'll get to retire at that level.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of these guys that came in. He didn't come into this thing to make friends. He wanted to do what it would take to be great. And
who was the
that's
superintendent
that's
before
kinda
him? Dr. Felton?
Yes, Dr. Felton. I would think no, or the Hank Jones.
Well, I think it was Hank Jones,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Hank retired.
All right,
Then
Will,
Dr.
I'm
Felton.
gonna put you on hold and bring in Mike, so we'll have everybody in here. Okay. There we go. We got both of you.
Come on.
Will Matthews calling in. Of course, our judge, Will Matthews, and of course,
Barry Moore do yesterday. I had to take the kids to school.
I was really very impressed with him. He was a very positive guy. What did you think, Rice? I didn't ask you what you thought.
Yeah, I thought we had
The competition's going to be big in that.
a great
election.
visit, and and I just see more Jeff Coleman than anybody else because I guess he's got the most money. But after talking to Barry, he sounds optimistic. He says he's got a good grassroots support, and he's real strong in enterprise. And he says he knows a lot of people in Prattville and Millbrook, which is real important in this race. And then Troy King's in it, and then there's some other people. It's a fascinating race. I mean, and then
Bill, I think basically it's between Barry and Troy King to get in the runoff for Cole.
you're probably. I'll yield to you, Will.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. And I think it's between. I think Tuberville and Sessions going to be in a runoff for the Senate.
I'd go with that too. I was taking my daughter before we went to Mama Goldberg's. I said, let's go look at the Conecuh River and see how high the water is. How high is the water, Mama? And I got on Highway 231, and I was right behind the Tuberville campaign bus, RV.
He's working.
Yeah, it says Tuberville, and then it's got, on big letters, it's got Tuberville and Trump on the bus.
Oh, does it?
I should have sped up and honked at him when I went by.
All right.
I'll tell you what, living on the Florida Panhandle, I see more Trump bumper stickers and flags and just Trump supporters down here than I ever even saw in Birmingham, Alabama. I guess because I lived in Mountain Brook, maybe there weren't as many supporters there.
Will, back to this.
That's where Trump won the election. Was in the Florida Panhandle. He won every county up there, 70-80%, except for Leon County. That's the only county he lost in northwest Florida.
Yeah, Leon County's Tallahassee.
Yeah.
That and your son's effort in Pennsylvania probably won him the presidency.
Well, and I'll tell you this, my son helped in North Florida too. He helped us. We had two events. We had one in Panama City at Pier Park through 28,000.
Gosh.
And then we had one in Tallahassee, and the Democratic mayor and the people up there would not give us a place to have it. We wanted to have it in the Civic Center where Florida State plays, and they would not do that. We ended up having it at a car show place. It's kind of like a car museum.
Yeah.
And the fire marshal said you could have 7,500 people, and that was it. Well, guess what? 27,000 people showed up.
Oh, no.
And the interstate with people that just parked along the interstate and walked 2 or 3 miles to get to the place. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I was talking politics with my wife last night. I see these Bloomberg commercials, every other commercial.
Oh, yeah.
I said, Bloomberg's not going to be a Trump. I mean, he's got the spend, and he's buying ads everywhere. But I said, Bloomberg isn't having these rallies that attract 30,000 people like Trump did.
No.
He's going to try to buy his way in, and
Their worst nightmare is that Sanders is leading all the polls right now, though.
Yeah.
None of them want Sanders. CNN is attacking Sanders every chance they get. They don't want Sanders.
The crazy thing about all this is all these people are like 75 or above, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bloomberg said 78. Sanders 78.
Man,
Joe
it's unbelievable.
Biden's 70 something. He's way up there, 77, something like that.
Yeah, I didn't realize Pelosi's like 78.
I wonder what the average age of a U.S. senator is. I bet you
He's got
that,
to be 70 years old at least.
yeah, and I bet you that there's at least 30 of them that are 80, over 80.
Well, I know Richard Shelby's 80 something, I think, or 86.
Yeah.
It's a good job if you can get it.
No question about it. And of course, we've got a lot to talk about today. We've got high school basketball finals and for the right to go to Birmingham next week for the state championship. And Mike, we asked that question, where was the Southeast region held? It was held at Garrett Coliseum.
Okay.
So that's where that one was held. And
Big news on the NCAA that they're looking to do a one-time transfer exemption for all sports. So different conferences are voting on it. Now the NCAA is looking at it that for every sport, you'd have one chance while you're in college to transfer. I mean, that pretty much should just be free agency like we've never seen before in college athletics.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, and it might be an All-American quarterback leaves one place. It might be situations where a team would go from being a winner to a loser.
You know, my first thought was every really good player at a mid-major program like Troy, why wouldn't they transfer to Alabama or Auburn or Ole Miss, their freshman or sophomore year? So
you got to be academically, you got to be eligible to do it. But this would be a nightmare for a small program like Troy, in my opinion.
You know who picked up on this trend earlier than anybody was Nick Saban. I remember about 4 or 5 years ago, he was talking about this coming free agency in college football. And he says, do you really want NFL-style free agency in college football was the question he asked. What he did, he opposed one of his players trying to transfer to another SEC school. And so he was cast as an ogre for doing this. But his prediction has kind of come to fruition.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was Maury Smith, the kid that went and played for Kirby in Georgia. It was all the controversy.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you my opinion on this. Mel Tucker, for example. He goes to Colorado, and a bunch of people commit to him, and then he leaves after 1 year. And all these kids that have committed to Colorado, do they want to go play in Colorado where they don't even have a coach?
Yeah.
You know who the front runner is, don't you? Is Alabama's offensive coordinator.
I heard Brett Bielema's going to get that job.
I hope so. I wish Alabama could have some continuity on the staff for 1 year.
Yeah, Alabama officially hired Charlie Strong as the defensive analyst. I kind of wish he'd be defense coordinator.
You're right. I bet he'll be doing a lot of that.
Michael, I was explained what this means. He's going to be the defensive coordinator. You just watch and see.
But he'll be
But South Florida is still paying him. And if he takes a job at Alabama, South Florida's off the hook. Well, Saban's getting him on the cheap. He's probably paid him $70,000 or $80,000, and he's getting a bunch of money from South Florida still.
Well, let me tell you this. I've always heard it was just $30,000. Have y'all heard that before?
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I think it's 80, Mike, but Butch Davis, that was at Butch Jones, that was at Tennessee.
Yeah.
They were paying him $70,000, and Tennessee was paying him $900,000.
They could be paid nothing, and they don't need the money.
See, I didn't know they could pay, like you said, I didn't know they could pay both of those people.
Oh yeah, well if say Butch Jones had a real coaching job at Alabama making $700,000-800,000 a year, that would come off what Tennessee would owe him.
Yeah.
So
you got Charles Kelly on that staff too. That used to be the defense coordinator at Florida State. I mean, Golden's 36 years old. It's kind of a strange situation that they believe in even that much. They're acting like he's a young Kirby Smart. I don't think he's a young Kirby Smart.
Who? Charles Kelly is 50 years old.
I'm gonna give. I give.
Pete Golden is 36 years old, the actual defense coordinator at Alabama.
I give Golden
he's a DC.
the benefit of the doubt, you know, that defense last year just suffered an incredible amount of injuries. You know, you lost your two inside starting linebackers before the season. LeBron Ray is a great defensive lineman. He played 3 games. I think they ended up starting 5 or 6 pure freshmen. So I mean, there are valid excuses for Alabama's defense not being as good as we're used to. And plus, Alabama's lost so many players early to the draft. And then they had, you know, Michael, they had several players they were really counting on that just left, you know, and transferred. Their numbers are so much thinner than they've been.
Back to this discussion over having that one-time ability to transfer, that could kill schools like Troy. That could really, really hurt schools like Troy. They could like Troy's going to have a great young quarterback next year. That means the next year he'd have a chance to go.
Every school in the country could recruit him.
Yeah. Well, Will, I'm sorry.
Would they?
Yes.
Would they recruit him?
If they needed a quarterback, they would.
I tell you what, this guy they've got coming in, not the junior college guy, but the high school guy, they think is as good as anybody out there.
Let me give you an example. If DeMarcus Ware finishes his sophomore year at Troy or OCU Manure, you don't think every Division I school in the country would know that those guys are future first-round players and come after them as hard as they could?
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Will.
I mean, then you could benefit a 4-string running back that's a 4-star, at Alabama that's behind, 4 other
Not playing.
Yeah.
great players. You might get somebody like that to come down to Troy. So it might.
I think Troy would benefit more than they'd lose.
Yeah,
I mean, Auburn used to be the feeder system to Troy when they were 1AA. It was Auburn player after Auburn player
all right,
transferring to Troy.
Let me ask you a very, very important question. How many players could they get off one team like that? What if Troy had 10 of them?
Anybody could.
You mean they could 10 guys could leave if they wanted to?
It sounds like 80 guys could leave if this one-time exemption.
You'll have to see. You'll have to see if they cap it as far as each team. I don't know how that worked, but I don't think you could.
Yeah.
No.
And right now, it's officially, they're not paying.
That means Will Matthews could have left Vanderbilt as one of their top golfers
right.
and gone somewhere else.
He sure could.
Who were the great golf programs back then, Will?
Well, Vandy, now we won the conference my sophomore year. But the big powers back then were Florida and Georgia were the top powers.
And Florida had a young man from Greenville on his team, didn't he?
Hancock, he won the SEC my freshman year, no, my sophomore year. He won the individual for the
like national programs in golf back in the 70s. What were the national programs?
Wake Forest, Oklahoma State.
Arizona State was always good. That's where Hancock. That's where
Texas has always had a great golf program.
Nicholson came out of Arizona State, didn't he?
I think so.
When I was a freshman, Texas had Ben Crenshaw and Tom Kite.
Yeah.
They won the national championship.
I think I read that Ben Crenshaw won the NCAA championship 3 times in his 4 years in college.
I wouldn't doubt it.
That's a record, yeah.
But of course, Wake Forest had those great players, too.
Including the best known of them all.
Arnold Palmer.
That's right.
But
Nicholas went to Ohio State, didn't he?
yeah.
Nicholas's daddy was.
And so did the great what's our tall golfer Weiskopf. Weiskopf went to Ohio State too.
Nicholas's daddy was good friends
Isn't
with
that right?
Woody Hayes.
Yeah.
Well, who was best friends with Woody Hayes?
I don't know, best friends, close friends with Woody. Jack Nicholas's father, who was a pharmacist in
Oh, really?
Columbus,
Is that what he
Ohio.
was? This guy knows it, doesn't he?
I love Jack Nicklaus. I've studied up on his career.
Well, anybody that loves sports, Will has always.
80 years old, by the way.
Yeah, he's the same age as my dad.
You had Nicholas, and you had Palmer, and you had your buddy from South Africa,
Player.
Player. And And Player, I think, always had a chip on his shoulder because the other two were getting more fanfare during the heyday of his career. You know, all you heard about was Nicholas and Palmer. But hey, I think he resented them a little bit, don't you?
Now they were good friends. I don't believe.
You really, do you really believe that they were really good friends?
They were great friends and still are.
I bet they were. I bet they were huge competitors. Cause
Now, Nicholas named one of his children Gary.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Gary was a huge competitor. He hated lose worse than anybody in the world, and I know he hated.
Nicholas and Player now hit the first shot at the symbolic first shot of the Masters. Used to be Arnie.
One thing about Player won all 4 majors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Palmer did not. Palmer missed the PGA. He never won a PGA.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Player won all over the world.
Player, yeah, probably won more tournaments than anybody, maybe.
I think he probably did around the.
If you count the European tour.
Over 150 tournaments. And Nicholas probably won 75, but that was in the United States.
Yeah.
Nicholas might have won a few more after that.
You're exactly right, Will. Like I said, I've read up on Jack. I watched a special on him on his 80th birthday on the Golf Channel. Then I read an article. I think they said he entered in between when he turned pro in 1981, I think they said he entered 327 events. He won 70 something. He was second or in the top 3 about another 80 times. He was in the top 10 of events. Every tournament he played in, he finished in the top 10 about 80% of the time.
What, talking about Nicholas?
Nicholas, his records are mind-boggling.
Yeah, you know, Mickelson the same way. Mickelson finished second how many times? Gosh, a bunch of times.
In majors 10 times.
Yeah, no question about it.
Nicholas.
Drew Brees has decided to come out for another year with
Drew Brees. It's time for
Yes.
a new beginning with Drew Brees.
Cool breeze.
A lot of people thought Teddy Bridgewater might be the heir apparent for Brees, but it looks like Brees is going to come and play one more year.
How do you turn down how many million? How many million did he get? How do you turn that down? Hey, if he had to walk up on crutches, Mike, he'd go another year.
Where else can he make
money.
$20 million or whatever?
How would anybody say, well, I'm going to turn down this $20 million and go ahead and retire? Listen, that guy will play until they won't give him $20 million a year.
I'm going to tell you something, Mike. You won't believe this, but 2 years ago, if they call pass interference like they should have in that game, they're going to win the Super Bowl, and Drew Brees would have retired 2 years ago.
Yeah. But again, though, Will, don't you think, they're paying him so much money?
He's got more money than he can spend.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as...
We got another call coming in. We want to find out who this is. I'm thinking this is Max Howell. And I'm going to try to hold...
You talk to Max.
All right, see you, Will.
All right, thank you, Will.
All right.
All right, let's go to this phone. You on Today in L.A.? Good morning.
Mike, it's Max. How are you this morning?
Max Howell calling in from rainy, flood-prone Fulton, Mississippi. Did you have to have a boat to get to your car this morning?
No, Mike, but it's getting close.
How bad is it? It's the worst flood in history?
Well, in the last 25, 30 years, without a doubt. We expect another inch and a half, 2 inches between now and Saturday.
All right, give us a layout. What river, and tell us your complete location.
Okay, we're in northeast Mississippi. We're just I'm 2-3 miles, I guess, off of I-22. That's the corridor now from Atlanta to Memphis. We're on the Tennessee Tongue-Bigby River. This river flows into the Alabama River.
That's right. Goes all the way to Mobile.
Yeah, I can get in a house and go.
Hello.
This is the hill country, so we get when it rains all around. This is the lowest part of the county, so we get the deluge that comes down off the hills right into the river. Now, the river's controlled by the docks and the dams up in the Mississippi, up and down the Tennessee Tongue-Bigby. So I don't get from the river, I don't get that much swell, probably 6 or 8 inches. But what we get it is from all the streams coming down the hill, washing the roads out.
Max, we were sitting there talking, and you got a phone call that I reckon it was on Monday, and the guy said that the houses across the street from where your place is were actually blown. The water took them away. Is that right?
They did. We had 2 that one's still standing. It's about halfway diluted, but one came off the foundation, and thank goodness nobody was there. They were well warned. Mm-hmm. And I was up early this morning watching the weather and kind of, keeping a track on it. The interstates are built up higher. We don't have any stopping them down. In Jackson, which is about 3 hours south of me, they've got roads, interstates closed. They've got over 1,000 people already had to move out of the Pearl River Basin.
Well, that is dangerous, man. Oh man. Max Hall's calling in. Max, hold on. We'll bring Mike in here.
Okay.
All right, let's see. We go 1, and 1, 1. There we go. Perfect.
Good job.
Mike Amish, you're in with us. Is that right?
We're talking about the weather, the rain.
Ladies and gentlemen, Max Howell, one of the leading sports analysts in the country, and we're talking rainy weather and talking about sports and the state championship.
And that transfer rule, Max might have a...
And Mike, I want you to hear this, and we'll get into it later, but Long High School of Skipperville is heading back to the Final Four as their little guard hit a shot at the buzzer. The buzzer went off while the ball was in the air and on a three-pointer, and they beat the great program down in Hartford. And the Hartford group, who I want to say is defending state champions in their class.
Well, that's the thrill of victory for one school and the agony of defeat for another school.
No question about it.
Geneva County?
Yep, Geneva County of Hartford.
So doesn't Charles Henderson girls play today?
Let's see. I think they do. I'd have to double check though, but I think they do.
Can I show everybody this picture?
Yeah, do.
Yesterday we were talking about the terrible wreck in the Daytona 500. Here's a pretty good picture in the advertiser.
And there, look how high that car is off the ground. How does anybody survive that? And then when it hits, it explodes into fire.
I didn't know, but he was leading the race when this accident started.
It was just a few hundred feet from the finish line.
Yeah, he got nudged from behind and...
Boy, oh boy, that is some picture. I will show it one more time. As you can see, this is the car right there, and it's really amazing.
And he is on the Jack Roush racing team. It's now Roush is merged with somebody else, but Roush was great friends with the man who saved his life, the game warden.
Game warden, yeah, you're right. And he lost his life.
Larry Hicks.
Larry Hicks is no longer with us, and what a great man he was, no question about it. Max, did you have a good trip to Troy this weekend?
Mike, it was very, I was well received, and I want to thank you and everybody else. Certainly appreciate sitting with you guys on Monday morning, and had a really good day and got a chance to see a lot of people. Silver called in, if you recall, on Monday, and we reviewed the time that he and I were together back in Troy, and certainly was brought back a lot of memories.
I thought that was a great interview. We're going to have to bring Sim on more. He really speaks well, and
he does.
He came to our Archer reunion, and when he walked in the door, he took over and spoke 30 minutes nonstop. And he could have talked more. He's had quite a career, and he's a very humble guy. Really, he's a very humble All-American. When he played, he was about as good as anybody, wasn't he?
Oh, I don't think it's any doubt. You remember we got him off for the intramural team.
Yeah, I know it. I remember that. He was playing for the Pi Kappa Phi's.
You're right. He signed time with University of Georgia, and Robert E. Lee at Montgomery was one of the heralded quarterbacks in the South at that particular time, and won a couple of state championships. And Georgia took him over there. Coach Dooley stuck him on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, he's got always had a real high voice, and you could just hear it. And something else he could do, and this is unreal. I played baseball against him. We used to play Robert E. Lee in baseball, and he played shortstop for Robert E. Lee and was a very good one. And during warm-ups and during the game, all the games, he would be whistling. And I can't whistle at all like that. I can whistle, but that sharp whistle. I said, Sim, you remember that sharp whistle? We used to hate to hear you whistle all game long. Boy, that sharp whistle. Can you still do it? And he let out one of the sharpest whistles you've ever heard in your life. And Faith, his wife, was there, and Faith had never heard him whistle. And you know what he told me? Tim said he didn't know how many years it's been since he had whistled like that.
Is that right?
But do you remember playing or being around a guy that could really whistle good? A lot of times they'd stick, they would stick their fingers in their mouth and whistle like that. But he could do it like this. Look.
Was that Steve just did it?
Steve, can you whistle, Steve? Come here, Steve.
Yeah.
Get a little bit louder. Come in here so we can hear it. Boy, that is sharp. That is, but old Sim could really whistle. And Coach Chafin, his baseball coach, whistled a lot too. And let me ask you this: what has happened to the whistle? But what else? But more than that, what has happened to the chatter? Come, baby, come, boy. You're the one now. Way to shoot.
Yeah.
Way to work.
Baseball players don't do that anymore?
Come on now. Come on now. You can do it now. You can do it. How many times do you ever hear people chatter?
You're right.
Matt?
I used to do it.
Come, baby. Come, boy. You're the one. Way to shoot. 2 down.
Baseball chatter. You kind of mess with the batter if you were in the infield a little bit.
Exactly right.
I always think of Sam because of his hats he wears.
Those cowboy hats.
Yeah, he wears a lot of hats.
Oh yeah. He was dressed like a cowboy. Every time I ever see him, and he's 74 years old. He's sharp, but he's sharp as a whip.
How big was Sim as a player?
Probably 185, 190.
About how tall was he?
He's about 190, maybe 6 feet, maybe.
Yeah.
What made him such a good quarterback? Could he really fire the ball and have strong arm?
Quick. He had a quick release, and he read the defenses extremely good. But remember, guys, you didn't have to do a whole lot because the league we played in and our system was so much more sophisticated. When you're playing a 3-deep zone and we put 4 in the pattern, and somebody's going to be open every time.
And he could find them.
Because remember, the coaching at that level in the days wasn't as good as some high schools are today.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't know about linebackers taking the backside of the backfield. They didn't know any of that.
I think with quarterbacks is you've either got the it factor or you don't. And that it factor is they're poised in the pocket, they don't panic, and they can find the receivers and they can make quick decisions. I don't know how much you can coach that. I mean,
another thing about Sim, and they talk about it all the time, and never when I was around, he can spin it. Now, how many times you ever heard of that, Max? That he can spin it. His ball has a perfect spin.
Real tight.
You ever
spin.
watch pro football highlights and everything?
Yeah.
What now?
Yeah, the guys knew that would catch it, Danny and Bobby and Vince, that bunch of the receivers for us. They knew where the ball was going to be, and that was the reason they
Timing.
Had a perfect spiral on it, and that was one of the reasons they didn't want to use a strike ball.
Yeah.
They had become so familiar with an unstriped ball, and that was unusual in those days.
Exactly.
Strike was just coming on, played a lot of night games, and most wide receivers felt like they could see the ball. Danny and them didn't need it. They knew when they turned around, the ball was going to be there.
I'm going to tell you, even in the pros, you're exactly right. Back then, they did not want a stripe. Sim did not want a stripe around the ball. I don't see how you could see it. The lighting at those stadiums were terrible. You know, lighting in our stadium was terrible, wasn't it?
But Mike, the reason because the ball was right there and head high.
Yeah, that's right.
When they turned around, they knew the ball was there.
They're and
Troy's lights got better when they built the baseball stadium lights.
yeah, that helped a lot. Yeah,
Baseball stadium better.
yeah. But that stripe, you'll think about it. But even in the pros, you don't see the stripe much at all.
I noticed that.
But the stripe, it was so you could see it better at night. Isn't that right?
But see, remember, it all goes back to the quarterback. You know, the working relationship between the quarterback and wide receivers. And remember, too, guys, you know, I made that comment to you the other day. The rules, we got caught in that rule situation. We didn't have a designated time for spring training. We worked out 4 days a week, 6 months a year. And the kids were on.
Hey, you know what? You're right. You had spring training year round, didn't you?
Absolutely. I mean, but it was not a rule that we had to work. Just, you know, we had 30 days to get 15 in.
Yeah, that's right.
6 months, you know, to get, you know.
And another thing, you were unlimited on how many scholarships you could give too. It was at one time I remember 60. At one time they could give 60, but
I think we had 40, Mike. We had
40, and the big boys, Alabama and Auburn,
But I
had
think
60.
that once you got to Division II, if you were qualified Division II, I think that rounded off at 47 or somewhere like that.
Of course, we were NAIA back then, and
When did Troy make the transition to Division II in the 70s?
Yeah.
We were in route. No, we were in route. We were in AA, and that got caught in that portal.
Yeah.
And I think we stayed. I don't know how many years after Billy left that they stayed. They chose to stay in NAIA, but they moved on to probably early 70s.
yeah.
Because I stayed there to 71, and we were still in that transition period.
Yeah. While I've got this on my mind, ladies and gentlemen, want to pray hard for Ralph Black, the longtime voice of the Trojans, and he competes. He doesn't compete with me. He's been doing the morning show. He's the morning show on WTBF radio. He has had surgery, and it's very serious surgery, and hope old Ralph can pull it through, because he's a great man and a great announcer and great Trojan.
He was doing radio when I was there, Mike.
Oh yeah,
You know, he's one of the best sports announcers ever, and such a kind, good man. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Let's all pray for Ralph.
Yeah,
His son,
right.
Ed, is one of my best friends, graduated high school with me.
Well, he's a wishbone quarterback.
Yeah, he's one of the best athletes ever come out of Troy.
Ralph was in the marching band at Auburn, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. The famous marching band. He played for the that group that toured.
The Black Knights, or the what do they call
Auburn Knights. Auburn Knights.
Yeah, that played for Tony Tennille was their lead singer.
And also, I want to pray for the great one, the greatest band leader of all time, even ahead of Sousa, the great Johnny Long. I want to pray for him. And Johnny, I know,
How's he doing, Mike?
well, it's been tough, real tough. You know, he's 90 years old plus, and but he's one of the great men in the history of mankind. I'm telling you, he's one of the great ones. And like a guy always said, that Johnny Long would always make you feel like you were his best friend.
Yeah.
And he was so complimentary and such a nice guy. And
One of the most influential people in Troy history.
hopefully he's still living. He's fighting hard, and pray for him. And we appreciate it. Max, we lost one caller just a while ago, and if you'd like to call back, we've got 2 slots vacant. We've got Max Howell, one of the leading prognosticators. You had a long ride back on Monday. What did you do? Did you play tiddlywinks or what?
You're probably on your cell phone doing business.
My son doesn't even know what tiddlywinks is. Do any of y'all know what tiddlywinks is?
Barely.
Max, you know what tiddlywinks is, don't you?
Oh, that was
You know, you sprayed and you took one stick and you had to remove it without moving another stick. You remember that?
That was a
Tiddlywinks, Mike.
Yeah, that was all we had to play when I was a kid.
And we had marbles, and out in my front yard was a bunch of dirt, and we would draw the circle, and then we would have the marbles, and it was a big thing to win a bunch of marbles. Man, I felt like I was rich if I picked up a bunch of marbles.
You know what my mom used to do? Talking about
I got caught up in it. We used to take them to school, man, at recess.
Yeah.
And I had my little marble bag, and I always wanted the big toy.
That's right.
We had those are foreign languages.
And we used to hit that thing, and it would just pop off. You know, a good marble player really knew how to make that thing go. You know.
The only thing I have in common with y'all is y'all probably used to play pencil break. I used to play pencil break back when I was growing up.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know anything about Prince Blake.
What about paper football?
That paper football like this right here. Look, and play. Max, you ever played paper football?
You can kick it. Well, you can cook it through the uprights, or you can make the little triangle where you kick it, and it's just got to hang over the edge of the table.
But some of them were a lot better than others.
We played paper football in First Baptist Church.
Coffee. Ding, 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 ding.
Talking about drawing circles in the dirt, that reminds me of my mom. She said when she was a child, she'd draw the circle in the dirt, and then they would get some roly-polies. And they'd put the roly-polies in the middle of the circle, and they'd have roly-poly races. And so the first, each friend would have one, and that first roly-poly to make it to that outside line won the race.
Oh, boy, I've never had a roly-poly, but I'm very familiar with roly-polies.
I'll tell you the other thing she said they did is lightning bugs. Is that what you call them?
Yeah, we caught them in jars all the time. You did that, didn't you?
They would do that, and then they would take them to the movie theater. What was it? Whatever the big movie theater of the day was,
and let them out.
Let them out inside the movie theater.
That's right. And they would lighten up on summer's night, no question about it.
You don't see them like you used to.
We used to play a game called 1, 2, 3, Wee Willie Buckhawk. So if you catch the guy, you holler 1, 2, 3, Wee Willie Buckhawk, and you were free and you could go hide.
Did y'all play in baseball? Did y'all play rundown when you get two people playing catch and then one person running between them and you tried to get them in a rundown? We loved to play that, but I'm thinking back, I said, man, that's a dangerous game because that ball was whizzing right by
as an infielder growing up, and I played a lot of baseball. I've been in a lot of rundowns, you know.
Mike, see that? There you go. Worried about getting hurt. So we didn't. Who cared?
That's right. And another thing, I used to be bad about knocking the ball down with my hand, just accidentally, you know, knocking the ball down, you know, in the run.
What position did you play?
Shortstop and third baseman. I think people that grew up with me would say I was a pretty good baseball player.
Well, see, I thought I saw you as a defensive lineman. I would have never projected you as a
I played
shortstop.
I played a little basketball too. I wasn't great at any of them, but I was adequate. I started my senior year in all three sports.
Gosh.
But I mean, hey, we weren't real good.
But you just playing on the varsity.
But Leon Hillier,
You won the Johnny Till Award.
no, but Leon Hillier, the great Leon Hillier, was the guy that taught me how to play ball. You know.
What a class!
Do you remember Leon Hillier, Max?
Oh yeah.
Boy, what a great coach he
Your
was.
favorite game was stickball, wasn't it, or corkball?
Oh yeah.
Did you play?
Well, we did, and it would be. Let me tell you something. Somebody could get rich with it today. I promise you. You play stickball, and what we did, we took a practice golf ball, those old plastic, and wrap it with tape, and maybe have a little bit of holes in it. But we made it just heavy enough to throw it pretty hard. All right, you could play with two people, you know, and to play with two people, you set up a little brick right here was a single. About 5 yards more, you put another brick down as a double, then a triple, then a home run. And we played in my house, my backyard of my house, and we had brick up to about 6 feet, then a white wood, and then a green roof. Well, that was the name of the stadium was Woodview Field. And all right, you take that stick, a broomstick, a regular broomstick, and to practice golf ball, you made it heavier and by putting a little tape on it. And you would say, all right, if you hit the ball to the single in your imagination, you'd have a man on first base, and then he hits another single, and he advances to second, and whatever. You keep up with runs. If it hit in the air and the guy caught it, If
Yeah.
you were playing 1 out inning or 3 out innings, it'd be 1 out. And let's say you hit another ball that did not reach the singles mark, so you're out again, or you would have struck out on 3. Strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. All right, that's with 2 people. If you played with 3, you'd have a catcher, a batter, and a pitcher. And if he ever swung and missed and you caught it, he's out. All right, a ground ball the same way. And then after that guy is out for the 1 out, then he goes from being a catcher to a batter, and he starts his little deal. I know that sounds confusing, but do you know that you can come back with that right there and have the same rules? But the great thing about it, you could play with 2 people. You could play with 3 people.
My kids are track.
You could play with 4 people. Yeah,
You ain't gonna get the kids to go outside and play.
I know you're right. But you could play with as many people as you wanted, and with the same rules. You caught the ball in there, he's out, and whatever. Once you got to 4, you played 2 on 2. 2 on 2, and you had a pitcher and a catcher.
I lived my Opie Taylor days in Opelika.
You look like Opie Taylor.
My little son does, and the rec center had a good little rec center. I thought between the elementary school and my house and the middle school, and we walked by it every day, and we'd all stop and play. Sometimes we go play ping pong, but most people would go to the gym, and basketball season we played basketball, but we played a ton of wiffle ball.
Yeah, we did too.
Real good wiffle ball bats and a real good wiffle ball but the thing was, everybody would just play. You'd have 9 people. You'd hit a home. There were some tiles up on the wall in the gym, and if you hit the ball into those tiles up about 15 feet, that was a home run.
Yeah, that's right.
But
yeah.
I think just about every day, I remember you formed up on your own and you played.
This was in Opelika?
Yeah, for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
you played wiffle ball.
The unreal thing.
The wiffle ball evolved out of it. See, we used the cork,
Yeah, that's right. They use the actual cork. Yeah.
and I could make that thing jump around and all that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You use your 2 fingers, but the wiffle ball evolved out of that. That was the most sophisticated game.
That's right. Yeah.
We didn't have when I came along, we didn't have indoor facilities like that.
That's right.
We played outdoors all day and night until they get up to the sun with them.
You're exactly right.
And
I
you would
tell
play
you-
That
baseball?
was all an evolution.
Now we would play that cork ball, with the plastic ball all day long, and we'd go play Babe Ruth ball that night, and the ball looked like a grapefruit coming in there. Because we used to hit that little bitty ball. But what you did, you had to make things happen, and we used to have rubber band gun wars where you take a stick and you take these rubber bands that they had out at Bassett Packing Company, and you would tie those bands together, and they'd have knots in them, and you'd stretch out and put a piece of wood, and then on the other end you'd have a clothes hanger where you tie the clothes hanger on with the rubber bands, and then you pull it and you attach
Yeah.
it. And we're talking about a stick at least 3 or 4 or 5 feet long. And buddy, when it hit you, you had a whelp on you. And we would actually have battles between our neighborhood and the neighborhood next to us.
Did y'all have pine cone wars?
Yeah, we had pine cone boys. What was some things you did, Max?
Man, we evolved from that, Mike. We did the same, but we evolved to BB guns.
Oh gosh! Now we never got that bad, but we hunted birds with BB guns all the
We
time.
did too, but we had battles with BB guns. We get a distance, but I saw several guys lose their eyes now.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, I mean that was.
That's insane.
I grew up on the edge and outside of town, and it was rural.
Yeah.
We had a lot of rural guys just lived next to. That's all they knew. Well, they were hunters first, and we always wanted those guys from the country to come on ID because we know they could shoot. So that really what evolved from that was the paint gun. Years later, the paint gun wars.
Oh yeah.
When I was
Oh,
a
yeah.
junior high, we had something called disc guns. You put a little disc in the guns, and we would have. I'd always wear sunglasses though when we had those, so even then you wouldn't get shot in the eye. Let me ask you if y'all did this in Troy. We did in Opelika a game called Run Through the Hole. The little kids would get in the front yard. The big kids, the junior high kids, would get on their knees in some kind of 4-3-2 defensive formation,
Yeah.
and they'd have little holes. And the little kid would get a running start, and he would try to get through all those holes and ping pong. I mean, man, the big kids, one of them would go low and get you flipping up in the air, then the other one.
Oh boy, oh boy.
But sometimes you would make it through the hole.
Yeah.
That was
We're
back when
talking
Johnny
about-
Musso was
yeah.
big. I was Johnny Musso, and I was playing run through the hole.
We used to take old skates and nail them to the boards and have a soapbox derby, and we would have with a string and where we could do it like this, you know. And Cheryl Crow, you know, who's one of the more prominent people in our community today, the hill right in front of his house, we had these soapbox derbies, and where we have these races down that hill right there. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Max, growing up, this is.
I've got 5 other stories I
People
want
think
to tell.
we're forgetting things to say, but you know, back then a candy bar was a big deal, and of course back then.
Get one for a dime.
All right, I want y'all to help me with this. The Snicker was there then. The Snicker, the Butternut,
The Mars bar.
Mars bar,
You don't see those anymore.
Yep.
Hollywood. You remember the Hollywood candy
Yeah,
bar?
That's right.
You remember the Babe Ruth? It's still around.
Yep.
You remember the Almond Joy? I think it was still around back then.
The Mounds came first.
The Mounds, yeah, it was. Didn't have a nut in it though.
Almond Joy's got nuts.
I wanted mine to have
Mounds
nuts.
don't.
Payday is still around, but it was around then too. We were talking about candy bars this morning.
My mom, when I
Hey,
lived
Zero, my favorite. Now I could eat a Zero every day. What is your favorite candy bar, Max?
Man, I love anything with a peanut.
Yeah,
You know, Baby Ruth was really one of my best.
a Milky Way.
Yeah.
Like y'all, but we didn't get any of that stuff. We'd go to the movies on Saturday afternoon to get to Weston, pay a dime to get in, and
That's
get
right.
popcorn, and get a candy bar for a nickel.
Everybody did it, didn't they?
Stay, you know, you could stay watch. I'd go around noon instead of 5 o'clock because that was the whole week's entertainment.
Yeah.
I remember in Opelika, we'd come home from school.
That was all the small town entertainment
Yeah.
in those days. See, Prattville was at that time was about the size.
Yeah.
It was about 2,500 people.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what my dad said.
Exactly. Let me tell you something too that I did, and it was what I what I still do today. I used to take a package
I know
of
what you're gonna
Tom's
say.
toasted
Yeah.
peanuts
Uh-huh.
and put it in my Pepsi Cola. I drank Pepsi Cola more than I drank Coke because Pepsi Cola was a bigger bottle.
Okay.
You got more bang for your buck. You know, the little old Coca-Cola was a lot smaller, but I always put mine in a Pepsi Cola or a lot of cola. You remember a lot of cola?
Yeah. A lot
But
of-
I still do it. I still eat, drink Pepsis with or Coca-Colas now with peanuts in them. Do y'all ever do that?
You know, we had the orange.
You never did do that?
I've seen people do it, but I never did.
Golly, man, that's the way to do it. But I still do it.
My candy story is that when I was in my Opie Taylor days in Opelika, Mom would want you out of the house. And most days you were out of the house. But I can remember she would give the kids $1, and we would all walk to Mr. Quick, which was our Zippy Mart. But you had to go all the way to the end of the street and then through some woods with just tons of kudzu to get to Mr. Quick. And the whole gang of the neighborhood would walk down there together. But I'm thinking back today, I'm amazed at how much candy you could get for $1.
Yeah.
Today you can't get one candy bar for
Yeah,
$1.
no question
Well,
about it.
no, a Hershey bar is $1.50.
See, we didn't even mention Hershey. You know, in college, they teach you about the Hershey concept. And the way it works is now you got that little old bitty Hershey bar with almonds in it. I wish they had more almonds in it. And almonds in it. They say, well, how did it become a multi-million dollar company? You know, how do you do it? Well, you know, you take that Hershey bar and you sell it for a dime. You know, back then, sell it for a dime or 15 cents or a quarter or whatever. And and you say, how in the world do they become a $1 billion company? Well, how many stores in America sold Hershey candy bars? You know, thousands and thousands and thousands of them sold those candy bars, and and maybe you might not make but 3 or 4 cents per candy bar, but think about how that would turn into a huge amount
And
of money.
and these candy bars now, like bags of potato chips,
Call it the Hershey concept.
they've all shrunk. These producers are sneaky. I've done a story on this shrinkflation. Not only are you paying more for the candy bar, the size of the candy bar is often much smaller than it used to be.
Yeah, and of course, everybody.
My big question is, what's the difference in a Crunch bar and a Crackle bar?
Yeah, Crunch bar. Yeah,
Nestle's
Crunch.
Crunch and Crackle. I love both of them.
What is it, Crackle? What is it?
The best candy bar to me is a Heath bar, though. That's
Oh God, yeah, you can bust your teeth up on the Heath bar too.
That's right.
Yeah, it's sort
That
of
was hard.
it's right, a little hard. You're right, and but
that's
isn't that amazing?
The
that,
memories of playing ball. Everybody used to play outside. Getting back to what we did, Pinecone Wars, Wiffle Ball games. When I was growing up, Evel Knievel was the big thing in America. Everybody had their little Evel Knievel toys,
Oh,
but
boy.
everybody got their bicycles and ramped their bicycles. And what you ramped over was trash cans.
Yeah,
And you wanted to see, I can remember one time I ramped over 6 trash cans.
yeah.
And you'd find some driveway that was on a steep hill that went into the grass, and then you set your ramp up right at the grass and ramp bicycles.
How about your Cotton Patch dolls? Everybody had to have a back. I had to. This is the truth now. If I've ever said the truth in my life, I had to drive from Troy to Atlanta to get a Cabbage Patch doll. I did it.
Yeah.
To get y'all remember that old Cabbage Patch doll?
I bought them for my daughters.
Well, they had a boy one too, and Michael had a Cabbage Patch doll, and Mike, you had it through adulthood. Tell us what you did with that Cabbage Patch doll.
What? His name was Virgil. I still have it.
His name was Virgil. All right,
He's 37 years old.
he's 37 years old, and Max, I want you to hear this. All of Michael's friends, best friends.
At my rehearsal dinner, all my buddies brought Virgil on stage.
Yeah, but now also, most of your friends got married before you did, and they had children. And Mike, to feel like he was at home when he'd go to a party at their house, he'd bring Virgil with him. That was his baby.
I'd bring Virgil to act as my son for family pictures.
Oh man, Max.
Virgil had an Alabama T-shirt on and corduroy pants. It's pretty amazing. My little girls play with him all the time.
Did you know your daddy, not Santa Claus, but your daddy drove all the way to Atlanta to pick one up? You couldn't find it anywhere, and you didn't go on the internet. I don't know how we found it, to tell you the truth.
It's like a Tickle Me Elmo that was the big thing.
But
one
all of
year.
them have identity. It's from a small town in Georgia, and they all had identity, birthdays.
Cabbage Patch Kids and Care Bears. Everybody wanted Care Bears too.
Oh yeah, exactly. And old Max is sitting over there and said, "Man, am I on this sports talk show with these guys talking about a Cabbage Patch?"
I'm thinking about. Did y'all have a Stretch Armstrong, or did you have Rock'em Sock'em Robots? Did you have electric football? Of course, you had electric football.
I had an electric football set. Did you have one, Max?
Mike, they weren't even invented when
I know it. That's right. I always told my kids, I said that y'all want everything, but let me tell you, all I ever got was maybe a couple of apples and some nuts, and y'all want all this stuff for Christmas. I was trying to make them feel bad.
Did Max throw away all his baseball cards like you did, Dad? Dad
Right.
threw away all these, probably about $100,000 worth of baseball cards.
I probably did. Yep. I had a
Get
1,000.
the bubble gum, but you know
bet
what we use the cards for? To put on our spokes on the bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The spokes. That's another thing that they don't have today. Those spokes on the bicycle. Did y'all do that?
Yeah.
And Max, that was something.
That was the bicycle thing. Of course, I never got a brand new one. I could have used bike occasionally, wore it out.
How about a Daisy Pump BB gun? Did you have one of those Daisy Pump BB guns?
I still got my Daisy BB gun.
Boy, I tell you, Boy, we used to go and shoot birds. The Audubon Society would have hated us because, and I feel bad about it today, how many pretty birds.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this, a blue jay might have been pretty, but he's mean. And a mockingbird might have been pretty. Mockingbird will attack you today if you don't watch him.
What's To Kill a Mockingbird?
But see, remember, Mike, I graduated from a BB gun. I was 6 or 7 when I had it. I was shooting a rifle and a 14 shotgun when I was 10 years old.
And just think, it's one of you I killed somebody, probably.
Well, my granddad was a vet, see, and I remember back.
Oh, gosh, that's right. You were rich. I forgot. Max, we've been sitting here talking about all this stuff, and you actually lived in a brick house.
Well, he
you
told
were
us.
rich.
He said his grandfather bartered all his services. Nobody could pay him any money.
But you know what? My family was so frugal. It was just you know what the difference in being cheap and frugal. We grew up, and my dad and granddad and all had become frugal at that time. But when they was early in their careers, they was really what they call cheap. My dad, I owned the first car in my family. My mom and dad didn't even have automobiles. They had walked to work every day.
You mean you owned a car?
I owned a car when I was 15 years old.
And back when you were growing up,
Bought himself.
and you were like my older brother, y'all used to drag race all the time. That was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was it. I had a 48 Plymouth Coupe. Bought the thing for $200. I remember it like it was yesterday. Shaved it down, took all the comb off, put the muffler, the twin mufflers on the back, put the fender skirts on it, and my parking place at school was at the front door, and nobody ever took that parking place from the time I was a 10th grade old.
Did you have fender skirts?
Oh yeah.
How about probably the most popular car ever had to be the '57 Chevrolet. You remember how pretty that was? That '57 Chevrolet is still a classic,
My mom had a car when she was in high school, but Dad didn't have one until after college.
Yeah.
Well, your dad was so tall though, but he couldn't get in the front seat of one.
I guess you had to have friends that had a car.
He would ride home with Mal Moore, and Mal would drop him off Luverne, and he had to hitchhike, I reckon, the rest of the way.
Maybe his mom or dad would drive over to Laverne and get him there.
Pick him up. But Max wouldn't bring it. Your dad said, Max wouldn't take him to Troy because Max was going to, what's that little town?
Coach Moore, Mal Moore.
Yeah, Mal Moore was going where?
The Dozier.
Dozier, yeah. He lived in Dozier. Oh, man. And starting at quarterback, Mal Moore, number 16, from Dozier, Alabama.
You can trace how well your parents did in their business or working lives by the cars you got as kids. I remember Rush, my older brother. He got a hand-me-down car from the yard man. Wilbur was our yard man.
From the yard man.
I think it cost about $300, $500. Dad
Well,
got it. No AC.
Oh, yeah.
But he was proud to have it, buddy. And I got a little used Mustang, but it was the year that the Mustangs had an engine about like a go-kart.
Yeah.
And it was used. And then think of my little brother. I come home one day and he's in high school. He's got a brand new Bronco 2.
Oh, God. Well, let me
Which you
tell you
later
this.
flipped.
I didn't have a car until college, and my brother gave me his hand-me-down 57 Ford, which was a pretty car, but it needed transmission. So then I bought from Bo Barra. You remember Bo Barra? From Bo Barra, an old Rambler, and it was beat up, and I gave him $300 for it. And we were fraternity brothers, pie caps, and had pie cap stickers all over everywhere. The only good thing about it is the back seat would make into a bed. You could go to the drive-in theater and you could sit back.
I don't know if you're talking about that.
Well, no, what it is, if you
haven't talked about the drive-in
if you didn't
thing.
have a place to sleep, you could always sleep in the car. But you go to the Starlight Drive-In Theater, you don't even know what a Starlight Drive-In Theater was.
It hung in there until I was.
Thanks, Howell. I guarantee you took a girl to a Starlight Drive-In Theater several times when you had Troy, wasn't you?
Hey, Mike, let me tell you, I got in more in the trunk of
Oh yeah, everybody get in the trunk of the car, yeah.
right.
They probably didn't mind as long as you bought the popcorn and cokes.
But no, hey, we used to go every Sunday night. And a lot of times we have 2 or 3 people in the trunk.
Is there a drive-in movie theater in Alabama today?
There's one in Wicksburg. They used to talk about it a lot. Wicksburg.
How in the world could y'all breathe in the trunk?
Well, you weren't in there that long.
It wasn't still tight, but
Mr. Gaylord, Bo Gaylord's daddy ran it, and if the lady, a lot of times she just didn't feel like. A lot of times they would check. If it was a big night, they'd go out and check your trunks. But if it was just the old lady that was there for all those years, she didn't want to bother with it, so we were lucky.
I'm gonna tell you, I think the first time I saw female nudity, upper body nudity, I was eating at that hotel restaurant directly across the street from the drive-in, and you could watch the movie. And it happened to be an R-rated movie, and I looked up and 11 years old.
And let me tell you this: every Sunday night you could go eat a steak, a hamburger steak out there, and all y'all wanted the players to do was just sign the sheet. Is that right, Max? You remember that?
absolutely right. Yeah.
What was his name? What was his name?
But where we went most of the time on Friday and Saturday night after we got ready to go in, which was early in the morning, we go out to the truck stop and get that hamburger.
Yeah, that's right. The Guinea. The Guinea. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Kenny's. That's right.
The Guinea.
And that was the best eating in the South.
Oh yeah, no question about it. And and then another place was he used to have a place out at the lake, my lake out there.
Nelson's by the lake.
Nelson, Nelson. You remember going to Nelson?
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
And Nelson's was good too. I think that was on the corner of.
Nobody called it Nelson's. It was Nelson's by the lake.
Yeah, but this was he was out on the bypass, and Nelson's he had what he had was, listen to this, what that a lot of people say, what is that? A veal cutlet. You remember he used to have a veal cutlet that was delicious. And
Mike, the most popular place outside of town was Ballard's.
yeah, Jimmy Ballard's, yeah. That's the place where they handed out switchblades at the door. Is that right?
Yeah, if you didn't have one, they had to have one to get out.
Hey, your roommate used to wipe the place out, didn't he? All y'all guys, y'all, all those old country boys just thought they were tough until they ran into John Fairclough or Max Howell or Jim Tompkins.
That's right. That was our all-season condition program.
Let me tell you the big difference in the day and the way it used to be. You used to have to fight your way out of a bar. You used to have to fight your way into the movie theater. I mean, I'm talking about if you went out to a dance, be prepared. You're going to end up being in a fight. I mean, that was a big deal. Fights were everybody was known, like a gunslinger. Look, that guy, that great fighter, was like a gunslinger, and somebody would always challenge him. You remember
like
that?
Shane or Wilson.
Always.
You remember that, Max?
The difference today, you get shot today.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Exactly. You get shot. Yeah, exactly. But it was always you go to the beach to the
Hangout.
to the hangout. Hey, hundreds of fights going on at the same time. I mean, it was just always somebody trying to prove themselves.
We just dance around them.
Yeah, that's right. And I didn't ever see it, but before then, about your time, they used to come out with brass knuckles. You remember that?
I remember when that came out. That was the first.
Oh, you could get hurt. Yeah, no question. But you had to prove yourself, and everybody was so sensitive. Did you say something to my girlfriend? You better go apologize to her, or I'm gonna wear your butt out, or whatever.
Right.
It was a sensitive crowd back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much
And
so.
proud. Everybody was real proud. Of course, you remember peg pants and tennis shoes? My blue jeans were pegged so tight I had to have zippers on both sides. And we wore white tennis shoes that usually we got when on basketball trips.
Yeah, white T-shirts and tennis shoes and blue jeans.
Yeah.
That's what I ever wore.
And those folks that smoked used to take their cigarettes and
I thought that was just in the movies.
sleeves.
People really did that.
No, people did it. Yeah, people always rolled up their sleeves so they could see the biceps, but most people didn't work out that then. Max did. Max was a weightlifter.
I know he's one of the way ahead of his time.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? I found out early, Mike, you could intimidate people if you were a little bit bigger around that. So consequently, John had used me sometimes as bait to going.
See, John was one of those gunslingers. Hey, you know how John was one of those guys that people try to prove themselves against, and he was always having to fight to prove it, or he would, somebody said something to him, but you were in trouble. Max was the same way, and a lot of those guys, those big old strong football players, they had an advantage, don't you say? Don't you?
No, I don't think there's any doubt. Yeah,
because they worked out, and still today.
That's the difference in those days. Today, that was our entertainment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
That's just what we did on Friday and Saturday night.
That's right. And you defended your date. If somebody said things about your date, you had to defend her. So you step outside, guy, or whatever.
Well, and y'all had dates. People would
Yeah.
date. I mean, nowadays kids, I don't know, do they have girlfriends or go out on traditional dates?
Max,
Not much.
the big difference today, you pull into a drive-in restaurant back in your days, and everybody had the hood of their car up, looking at 4-barrel carburetors. What in the world is a 4-barrel carburetor? Or how many deuces? That has 3 deuces. I don't know anything about a car. Michael wouldn't even have a hard time finding the oil stick. But what I'm saying,
Hey, you raised it.
I can at least do that.
I'll tell you a funny story. When your dad had Chapman Oil Company, he owned a couple of gas stations. One of them was the Gulf Station on Madison Avenue, kind of across from the front porch. And from time to time, he wouldn't have people that could work there, and he'd send me down there to work full service or self-service. A lot of little ladies would come there, didn't do much business. And I can remember several times where these little old ladies would ask me, will you check my oil? And I would go, and one, I had a hard time opening the hood. And when I finally got up, about half the time, I could not find the dipstick. And I'm ashamed to say this, but every time I would go back and say, oh, your oil is fine.
but hey, everybody was always conscious of their oil, weren't they?
Yeah, that was a key.
Yeah, and that was what you didn't have, but self-serve. I mean, you pull up and they'd wash your windshields, the back and the front.
The best one in Troy had to be Mr. Lunsford's station.
And then before it was my Uncle Shorty Renfro's station.
Oh, yeah, it was.
You remember the Gulf Station on the corner of 29 and 231? 29 would take you to New York City, and
right
231
across from Ingram's Car Market.
231 would take you to Miami. Yeah, right across from.
Well, that became Mr. Lunsford, but it was Renfro's before
That's
Lunsford
right.
took over. And
It
I heard
was
it was, I mean, check your oil, wash your windshields, check your tire pressure. They'd wash your car.
And all the time, remember this, the greatest invention of all, I know, ladies and gentlemen, we're just throwing things out, but the greatest invention of all, and I think you'll agree, is the tire. Now you don't have the blowouts like you used to do. That's the safest thing. Back in the old days, Max, you go to Troy to Montgomery, it's a good chance you're going to have a blowout. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah, they don't have cubes in them anymore.
No, exactly. That's the greatest invention of all time.
It made a big difference.
And how many times did you go into an old filling station and somebody's over there working on tires, putting on tires, putting patches on? They took it off, and if you work for that's why I never worked for a filling station, because I didn't know how to do all those things.
Mike, their cars down bones. You don't even have an extra. They just put four tires on the ground, and if you have a flange, you got to either take it off and go air it up somewhere. If you have that, or I've been driving now at the rate I drive, which is about 1,000 miles a week. I've been doing that for a couple of years. I've never even had a flat.
No question about it.
50,000 miles on 2 cars in 2 years.
And I bet you never went for years and years and years and never saw your spare tire. But back when I was growing up and going to college, that spare tire would be on my one of
I don't
my
know
four.
much about cars. Do cars still have belts in the engines? I remember Dad's gasoline distributorship. It had just tons of them on the wall. These belts, the little rubber strings that everybody had. And I remember one time we were.
You can raise the hood. I was going to tell Mike, go out there and raise the hood on that new Ram truck you got. You can't even see the motor in it.
I know it. You're right. It's crazy, but like you said, the day of the flat tire.
It's all computerized too.
Let me knock on wood. The day of the flat tires is gone, thank goodness.
The first job people would have would be either the grocery store bagging groceries, or a lot of people pumping gas at a
Yeah.
full service gas station.
I shouldn't say that.
That was Nick Saban's
that-
daddy owned a full service gas station, and he worked at it growing up.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't ride over a nail and it eventually it loses all its air, but you know, most of the time, what we call dangerous things would have a blowout. You know, especially the front end. Max, you're going 65, 70 miles an hour on that 57 Chevrolet, and have a blowout on the front, right or left. You got a chance that you might end up getting killed.
Absolutely.
Because
right.
you could not control it. Those I reckon call them front wheel drives. You could not
That's
control
what, I
it.
think that's what evolved into the upper grade tires, Mike.
Yeah.
Because of the safety factor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just think of how many wrecks over the years, and you know, for a long time, Max, and you'll remember it better than anything. But I lived on Old Ryan Street, which was Highway 231. When you drove back to Prattville, it was just 2-lane traffic, and it was nothing to see 2 or 3 wrecks on the way. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's very true, Mike. That was not long before 231 was, you know, it was too late.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, when you lived in Prattville, Max, did Jim's Restaurant exist back then?
Barbecue.
Jim had just come to town.
This is like a Sunday dinner type place.
Built the restaurant, and of course everybody flocked out there to see his daughter.
All right, but you're talking about gyms. There are 2 of them. One
That's
of them
right.
is the
Not
barbecue
the
place.
barbecue gyms. Other.
Yeah, the barbecue gym's one of the best in the world,
Yeah.
between Prattville and
Just a family restaurant.
Across from the drive-in movie theater. Remember that?
Yeah, the only thing there was in traveling time was a Dairy Queen. That was all we had. We didn't have a restaurant.
And then, Centerville had Twix and Tween, the famous
yeah.
barbecue and milkshakes and pies.
Is it even open anymore?
No, they closed it. But now Jim's world famous barbecue is still open.
I think
and
Twix and Tweens was more famous than Jim's for a
Max,
long time.
we have not even gone on a commercial break. Hopefully, we'll go on several before we get out of here. But
Several before the show's over.
well, no, what I'm saying after the show's over,
time
we'll run
flies.
some, Steve, if you will, to run
I
some.
love these nostalgia shows.
But we're liable to talk about anything on the show.
Well, you start talking about one
But
thing
Max,
and then you think about something else.
let me tell you this: Max is famous for his recipes. And Max, what's for dinner?
We're gonna do ribs this weekend. I've already talked to them. If the water goes down and we get our crowd down on the river, and I think we can, we'll do ribs. And I'll do, I think I've told you before. I do the baby backs. I got some older guys that are diabetic, and also they like the vinegar and salt and cook them crisp. I do some with vinegar and brown sugar, and then I do some meaty ones that will actually put barbecue sauce on. But I give the guys an opportunity to share in any of the 3 they want. We'll have a traditional coleslaw and baked beans, and garlic bread. And,
Oh boy, you're making me hungry.
You go picture a sweet iced tea
Yeah.
and dessert this week, key lime pie.
Yeah.
They've already told me that's what they want.
Well, let me ask you this. And I know you do this because we've talked about it before. But when the water's down and the river is in good shape, do y'all ever just catch the catfish and cook them that night?
We put trot lines out. On the
Okay.
back.
Oh man, that's fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah. We'll go down there. Some weekends we'll stay all night. We put them
Yeah.
out at
Oh
dusk.
yeah.
And,
That
and
was
pick 'em up
fun.
the next morning. But that's a. Remember where I'm in North Mississippi, Etowah County. It's still living in the 1940s,
Isn't that great?
and I love it.
I agree.
I really do.
Well, you're a good friend, my friend, and we hope to see you again next Wednesday at this time. And again, we're looking forward to April the 25th. Ladies and gentlemen, the Troy University Hall of Fame inducts one Max Howell into its list of great athletes at Troy. Max, have a great
Mike,
week.
thank you so much.
All right. Well, and of course, we appreciate Max and appreciate all of our callers this morning. And Rice, hey, we'll talk about anything on this show, won't we?
We don't have many
But,
notes,
hey,
do we?
but go out and buy you a bottle of Coke and get you some Tom's Toasted Peanuts or peanuts and pour them in there and drink that drink and eat those nuts. Boy, it's good.
I know,
I used
and
to
a lot of
dream of that. It
people
was
do it.
15
Okay, well-
cents when I was growing up. If I had 15 cents, I'd run up to Sheldon Davis's grocery and say, Mr. Davis, I want a Pepsi Cola with some of those Tom's Toasted Peanuts. He said, here you go, Babe Ruth.
I tell you,
He called me Babe Ruth.
I'm not quite as old as you are, but I can still remember where you could get a piece of gum for a penny.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can get for a penny now. I wonder why they still make the penny.
I know it. You're right. So they may change, I reckon. Have a great day. And remember, we're back on at 1:30 today. Have a good one.